Today in Steve's Makerspace, we have new parts in Robocraft X, troubles with trebuchets, a car you can steer, and much more. Coming up. Hi everybody, Steve from Steve's Makerspace here, and today we are back in Robocraft X, doing some experiments, playing around with it. I was in the middle of editing the video of me doing experiments when yesterday morning the Robocraft X team came out with 6 new parts, so I went ahead and did a few experiments with them and stuck that to the beginning of the video. So let's get started taking a look. These are the 6 new parts that just came out yesterday morning. Let's go into our inventory to take a look at the descriptions. First is a servo piston, a powered joint that acts like a piston. Then the pneumatic axle, a powerful fast-moving joint that is pushed out by compressed air. Pneumatic hinge, powerful fast-moving joint that is pushed out by compressed air. Pneumatic piston, powerful fast-moving joint, same thing. And the telescopic joint that comes out in a straight line like a telescope. And a damp spring, a joint that has a spring and built-in damper. On the right is the telescope unit and the damper, the spring. The telescope unit just falls out regardless of whether you have a weight there. Of course, the spring is going to be awesome for vehicles. That will make for a much smoother ride. Now we'll look at the other 4 parts. I'll just use this to demonstrate. You can see the axle and hinge are moving a lot faster, and here are the 2 pistons. One piston's going really slow, the other one's going really fast. That's the pneumatic piston going fast. The piston extends out to a maximum of 4 blocks, so pretty short compared to the scrap mechanic piston, but I'm sure it'll come in handy. Here I'm doing weight test on this spring, and you can see it doesn't seem to compress at all. And now I want to see how the pistons do against the springs. And it looks like the pistons are more powerful than the springs. Let's try adding a ton of weight to the piston. I don't know how far up that goes, but it's way up there. And the rubber is pretty heavy, so turn that on. And that is fully extended. And finally, I want to check the durability of these items and also whether you can go through some of these items. So the axle and hinge are not breaking. That's good. Notice the aluminum is going through the telescopic part, but the aluminum is not going through the spring, although that might just be the end of the spring that it's not going through. I'll turn this the other way, and there, we're going through this piston as well. Okay, that's enough for now. We're going to move on to what I originally planned. So let's start off with this lift that I made. Oh dear. It's broke. Oh dear. Wow, it's really flying. Holy cow. It's like going in the air. Look at that, it's flying in the air. Oh, it's coming back. Oh, maybe it wants to be my friend. Hi! Do you want to be my friend? Oh, I hope he's friendly. Hello? Oh. Okay, see you later. Okay, here's the lift for real. Let's try it again. There we go, that's just part of the way up. Yep. And there we go. And we're up. It's a little wobbly. I know I can make this more stable, but it works. Very nice. Now I'll show you a trebuchet I was working on. There's 2 different release mechanisms. This one is a hook release, which didn't work. I got the idea of a hook release from Khan's trebuchet. Yeah, that's not so good. Trebuchets were made for storming castles. Yeah, no. You could punch holes in the castle from a great distance. Sort of. A trebuchet is different from a catapult in that it has... God. It has a swinging arm, like another arm. Yeah. Whoa. That one shot in the other direction. It was the wrong direction, but yeah, that's a pretty good throw. Now here's a different design. That's better. Now this one's based on Scrapman's idea of taking the sling and splitting it into two for the release mechanism. It's still not throwing very far, unfortunately, but it is at least some success. Now it did take a while to get to this point. There's one failure. Had a lot of this sort of thing where the arm just wouldn't release at all. They say you learn from your failures, so, you know, I guess I must have learned a whole lot. I mean, I must have, because, you know, I failed a lot. But then, you know, this happens, and that's pretty good. I tinkered with this thing for a long time, and I never really got a huge throw like I wanted. Just couldn't figure it out. So maybe one of you guys will build a trebuchet and make a video and show it off. I'd love to see somebody succeed in this. Now one thing I wanted to point out was about randomness. If I stand in the same place and do the same exact thing, I get the same exact result. So this is 3 different throws. If I stand in a different place, you notice my character is in a different place, I get different results. So just wanted to point that out. I thought that was interesting. Here's a rectangle that slides on its side, which is interesting. Here's some balls being thrown. Here's a lot of balls being thrown. And here's me being thrown. Eee! This little guy reminds me of that alien from the Bugs Bunny cartoon. I wish I could see his face though. Okay, last video I made a car, but I didn't have any steering on it. This time I added some steering. It works okay. It's still kind of slow, and it also brakes pretty easily. So then I thought if I could just make big wheels, that would work. So I made some out of rubber. I found out later that I could use cylinders instead of making... yeah, this didn't work. It's really bouncy. It also breaks pretty easily. And I got a little glimpse under the map. I'm sort of swimming in the landscape. But we'll try again because, you know, we might get a different result this time. Oops, I've already fallen out of my seat. I could really use a seat. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hello. Look at this. What have I made? Oh, I must return for more of that. Hey, better, swing better! You call that a swing? My grandma can swing better than that. Come on! That's it! That's what I'm talking about! Okay. Have you had enough? Because I'm getting kind of tired. No! So then I constructed some large aluminum wheels from some, I don't know, angle parts, and also made myself a windshield. Now hopefully I won't fall out. So this goes pretty fast. It's quite durable. Bam! Didn't break. It's pretty difficult to steer though. It slides around a lot. It can climb up hills pretty well. So it's not an awesome car, but so far this is the best I think I can come up with in this game. I discovered something interesting about this forest. I thought I was doing a good job avoiding trees over here, but apparently these trees don't actually exist, and after a while the ground doesn't exist either. If you go onto the map in this game, you do just continue falling and until you hit E to exit the experiment. Now when I found out about the cylinders being expandable, I had to try that on my wheels. Here's the result. Yeah, it still doesn't work. Then I thought maybe I could use gears to make regular wheels spin, but this gear made the wheel very wobbly. So I tried a different type of gear. This seemed to work without the wheel, but when I put the wheel on, it was slipping and wobbly. So then I thought of trying this. It's kind of slow to get started, but it goes pretty fast. So I haven't tried actually making this into a car, but maybe. I finally put cylinders, aluminum cylinders on my car. It's working pretty well. But I do occasionally fall out, even though I have this windshield on here. Thought I was going to be able to salvage this, but no luck. On to an experiment. I wanted to find out if there was actual gravity. Did things accelerate as they went down? So I set up this experiment. I've got blocks at 50, 100, and 150 places up, falling. And then I was able to slow these down, and then in my video editing software I can see where the blocks start falling and where they stop falling. So this is how long it took for the first block up to fall, 1 second and 25 sixtieths of a second. And then the second block took just over 2 seconds, and the third block took about 2.5 seconds to fall. So if these were falling at an even rate, then the second block would have fallen at 2 seconds and 50 sixtieths of a second, but it was actually 2 seconds. So there is acceleration. So here's the additional time taken for each successive block: 36 sixtieths of a second and then 28 sixtieths of a second. So we've got acceleration going down. This is the formula for a distance that something falls under gravity and time: 1/2 gravity times time squared. So we can use this to calculate either gravity or distance depending on what we know. Using this formula, we know time, we know distance. We can calculate that gravity in this game is 3.05 blocks per second squared, if that means anything. And then we know that 1 Earth G is 9.807 meters per second squared. So we can say, okay, so if something took 1 second and 25 sixtieths of a second to fall, how far would it fall at 1 G? And the answer would be 9.84 meters. And if we know that 50 blocks is how far this is, and that's 9.84 meters, then that means that we have 5 blocks for every meter, and that was true when I calculated this for the 100 block distance and the 150 block distance. We get right around 5 blocks per meter. Now the character in the game is about 2 blocks high, and so if 5 blocks is 1 meter, then or 3.2 feet tall, then the character is about 1.3 feet tall at 1G, assuming this is 1G. I don't know if it's a 1G. It looks like could be a foreign world, so maybe we're on some other world where it's 2G, and if it's 2G, then 2.5 blocks equals a meter, and the character would then be about 2.6 feet tall, or maybe it's 1.5G on this world, and the character is right around 2 feet tall. I don't know. I mean, it could also be that the devs are just using some arbitrary number for the gravity and the size of the character. I know. Let's make giant balls that fall from the sky. That's going to do it for this video. If you've liked what you've seen, please like this video and consider subscribing to my channel. Also, comments. I would love to hear what you're doing in Robocraft X. What would you like to see me do in Robocraft X? What do you think of it? What do you think of the video? And in future videos, I do have ideas to continue with this, looking at building kinetic structures, sculptures, making some sort of pattern maker. I also want to definitely check out some of the world builds that other people have submitted to the game. So anyway, more to come. I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Steve's Makerspace.